All right, I want to take a few minutes to look at some things that my students from last semester did for me for this week. And since we're not meeting today online, I'm just going to talk about a few things that pop out with regard to EdTech, specifically the article from last week and your replies to what is a pencil as a pencil form of EdTech. So, obviously, that was a very old article. Okay, so a lot of people may have thought it was outdated. It was traditional. It probably was pretty boring. I get it. It was wordy, absolutely. But it was actually very informative because it gave you a background of where we came from and how we got here. Okay, it was very highly fact driven, and it showed how we can basically automate what we do and create a step by step approach to designing our instruction. And when you think of the word technology, it basically simply means using science, applying science to a situation in real life to make that situation better, okay? So all we're doing with instructional technology or education technology is using resources at hand that science has given us to make instruction more effective and efficient. So as we move throughout this semester, I want you to think systems based, meaning it's not just what happens in the classroom. It is other things play a role in it, such as administration, state level, federal level, what the children have at home, what you have at home, the technology you have your hands on. Also, I want you to think systematic, meaning step by step. In order to get to B, you have to complete A, and so on and so forth. So that will help you as we learn about other topics in education technology. Okay, let's see here. All right, DTL. DTL stands for Digital Teaching and Learning. So thinking about a systems-based approach to DTL, it truly is a reflective and an organized process, meaning that we take the time to really think about what our instruction for our students how it's going to impact them. And so when we're integrating technology into our learning, we always have to say, is it needed? Yes, if it's needed, that's great. And we also have to answer the question, how is it going to help them? Now, if you can't clearly answer those, then more than likely that technology is not what you need for that particular lesson. It is perfectly okay not to integrate technology. For instance, if a pencil is the best resource to use in order to teach something, use the pencil rather than the smartboard. Okay, so it's all about knowing your learner and thinking critically about what technology is going to best support that learner. And it's going to be different for each student. So that's the other piece of DTL, is that you want to definitely differentiate, give them options, be thoughtful, be mindful about it, acknowledge that there are diverse learning characteristics in your classroom, diverse backgrounds in your classroom, and some individuals may or may not have access to the same technology, because even though we're pushing for a more equitable learning experience, we probably will never get there because the child who lives in deep poverty may not have internet, whereas the child who lives on the golf course may. And there's a huge inequity there. So you always have to consider that whenever you are integrating technology in your classroom. All right, is a pencil a form of ed tech? The majority of people said yes, it is a form of ed tech. If you don't believe in that, that is perfectly fine. You may say at one time it was education technology, but my definition of education technology involves some sort of computer-based work, involves binary code, what have you. Just make sure that whatever stance you take on anything, that you can justify it. That's very important. Before I wrap this up, I wanted to show you this. This is going to start our systematic process of instructional design. And some of you may have heard of the ADDIE model. ADDIE is actually not a model. It is a process, a step-by-step process. As you can see, it's cyclical, it's evaluative, and it's step-by-step purposeful. So analyze is the very first step you want to take. What do you need? Where are they learning? What are the objectives? Okay. What are the needs? You design your instruction based upon the needs that you found and the requirements that are there. And that's planning. That's your lesson plan. Development is actually saying, okay, here's my design. I'm going to put it into Canvas and I am going to create this PowerPoint or I'm going to create this website. Okay. Once it's developed, you implement it. This is your delivery in your classroom. Okay. This is where you put the work to action to make the learning happen. And during and after, you always want to evaluate. And it's not just you evaluating how well the lesson went. Let the students evaluate it. Now, we do assessment, right? We test the students to make sure they've met learning objectives. But evaluation is saying, okay, did they or didn't they? And why didn't they or why did they? Okay. And that drives refinement in your process. So I'm going to stop right there. We're going to learn more about systematic instructional design as we move forward. And we'll talk a little bit about it next week. But I want you to really look at this model and write it down. Okay. And think about each step, starting with analyze first, design second, develop third, implement fourth, and evaluate last, realizing that at each phase, you can actually integrate an evaluation piece. Okay, guys, have a great week, and I will see you on January 30th at 3:30. Thank you.